Hello, everybody, and welcome to Butterflies and Dragons Episode 3. Butterflies and Dragons is a symbol for the divinity within and also the shadow within, and it is an ode to our humanity and recognizing that we are a combination of light and darkness. Although I imagine some of you guys have really cured yourself of the dark parts. I have yet to do that. Working on it though, one day at a time. I am super excited. I have a friend of mine here to join me and hang out, and really appreciate Schmether coming on the show. I think you have to be somewhat brave to accept my invite because, I think there's just so much possibility of the discussion going many, many different directions. And, this is a fun thing to talk to humans. To talk to humans that go to work, raise children, try to have healthy relationships. And so without further ado, let's bring Schmether on the stage. Hello, and welcome.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. We've been talking about this for a very long time.
We have.
And I guess I'm just kind of slow.
I am too.
So yeah, and crawling, but we have arrived. We're here, and I'm super, super excited. And oh, and I have a delay. So the stream insanity is starting already. So bear with me for a second. I'm going to fix my audio. Streams have a mind of their own sometimes.
They do.
How's that?
That's better.
Okay. So I don't know if you could tell I don't think you could tell on your end, but what happened, and it's been happening a lot lately, is I say something, and then like 3 seconds later, I hear it on the stream.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I think my computer is feeling overworked and underappreciated.
I heard it a little bit.
Yeah, so it's all good. I think it's mostly on my end, but it's just not fun talking and then hearing what you're saying like so much later. It's really kind of a weird way to have a discussion. But I guess it's fun to trip out. So if you don't mind, I want to kind of like ask some questions about you and your life and just kind of pry and kind of pry and just kind of see what we can get to know about Heather. And I know you were considering doing a podcast because you have some very interesting experiences that would be, supportive to other people, right? I think that's kind of the key. So I guess I want to kind of start as baby Heather. Tell me a little bit about baby Heather. Where were you born? What kind of life were you, born into, and what type of neighborhood, and that type of thing.
So I was born in Kaiser Vallejo. So I'm local to the Bay Area. Baby Heather, she grew up in Fairfield and then moved to Vacaville for like elementary school and stuff. So my neighborhoods were a little chaotic. It was chaotic as a child.
And you said your neighborhood, the neighborhood was chaotic, or just
in general? My first house that I lived in used to be a drug house. After I lived there.
Oh, so
after I lived there.
After you left, it turned into whoever moved in next. It ended up being a drug house.
Yes.
And you drive by and go, "Hey, we used to live there."
Yes.
And it's like, oh, that's kind
of weird. That used to be a drug house.
So what?
I just remember they had green shaggy carpets, and green is one of my favorite colors, and I used to want it all over my room. I wanted it on the walls, on the ceiling, and just like play with it and feel it. So I just remember green shaggy carpet.
You wanted that fluffy stuff everywhere?
Yes.
Did you make it happen? You start pulling it out?
No. Someday I will.
So, some people that connect with me here, they're from all over the world, and different places in the United States. Some maybe from California. Not too sure who I connect with. Most people are from other states. So they may not know what like Vacaville is and stuff like that. So we could probably just give them a quick explanation of where it is compared to like San Francisco or Oakland or Sacramento.
Vacaville is literally right in the middle of Sacramento. So I can go a 30-minute drive one way and take 45 minutes to San Francisco. So I'm literally right of two major cities.
Yeah, and so a little bit off the beaten path in a way, right? Kind of. It's a growing town now, but it was
really
kind of small
little
town, right?
Now it's expanded, and there's just construction everywhere with new houses and new units. The Travis Air Force Base is super busy, so there's tons of people just moving in from the military.
Yes, it's been crazy. It's been very crazy. And you went to elementary school in Fairfield, did you say, or
Vacaville?
Or
Vacaville.
Did you go to the same elementary school from kindergarten to 6th grade or 5th grade?
I've been pretty consistent with schooling. So I went to Callison and then yeah, then Wilsey Wood. So it was all pretty local to Vacaville
And
in my neighborhoods.
what was going to school in Vacaville like as a kid? What did you do? What type of games did you guys play? Um,
I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but pogs were really big in elementary school. Do you
I
remember pogs?
Yes, I was a little old. I was
Yes.
just a little too old to really
Get
kind of get
into
into
that?
that. Yeah, but I was familiar with Pogs. They were around the house. The
Yes.
when the nieces and stuff had those, and yes, so
I used to have a
Pogs.
huge collection of pogs. And then
You
Pokemon was a really big thing, but I never really got into Pokemon. I got more into like My Little Pony and Barbies as a little girl.
and the Pokemon. That's like a card game, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the Pogs. Yeah, you slam something down and you
Yes,
take
you
people's
slam
stuff,
it
right?
and you flip it. I don't remember the rules because it was so long ago, but I remember having this like really cool slammer and it was a lot bigger than the other ones. And you would just like slam it down. And then I think if other pogs flipped over the other way, you won that pog. Something like that.
And you get to take goodies home, win
Yes.
stuff, lose stuff.
Yes.
And what about like friends? Did you have a lot of friends in elementary school? Did you have a small group? Did you hang out with various people? Like
I
how
hung out with a variety of
what was
people.
your kid personality?
I was really outgoing. I was always labeled the social butterfly. I would never stop talking. I used to get in trouble a lot in school for talking too much.
Yeah, you gotta sit down and listen. Just
That's hard.
yeah, that's very difficult. That's torture for a lot of people. I think for most kids, that's kind of like torture. Like sit down and
Yeah.
we're gonna tell you a bunch of boring stuff for 6 hours. Stuff you never wanted to know about, you never asked about, you weren't interested in. But
Yeah.
that's. Are you still friends with any of your friends from elementary?
One of my like best friends from elementary school, I still talk to her occasionally. We talk about visiting each other all the time, but it's never really happened.
Is she still local?
She's in Minnesota now,
Not
so
not so
not
local.
super local.
Well, it sounds like a fun trip to happen.
It would be such a fun trip. She lives really close to Minneapolis, so a
Oh,
big,
that would
huge
be.
major city. Would be fun to go visit.
Yeah, and then they have like some giant mall and stuff, right?
The Mall of
I think.
America.
Is it the Mall of America?
I think so.
Yeah, I think I went there once actually.
I heard
Um,
it's massive and it has a theme park in it and everything.
it was. I remember it being very big, and what I thought was cool about it is, how you go to the malls around here, and then they have
Hmm.
just like the little smaller vendors in the middle, and they sell more like
Hmm.
random stuff. They
Yeah.
had a lot of those. There was a lot of little kiosks selling. What I remembered was like cool stuff. Like, oh, they got some cool stuff,
Yeah.
and I don't remember what. And I'm not um, super excited about the giant mall. It's not really like, hey, yay, go to the giant mall. But I found myself there, and it was kind of cool. It was a fun time.
It'd be cool to go visit a giant mall, but I think I would get overwhelmed by how much there is to do.
How much there is to buy? Lots of
Yeah.
things to buy and not enough money.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going, okay, I could spend this much money, and there's too many things. Uh, leave with
Hmm.
nothing. End up leaving with nothing. Okay, so you're born in Kaiser, Vacaville?
Vallejo.
Vallejo. Okay.
Hmm.
I've been there more than several times.
I've been there
And
quite a few times.
yeah. And and then you were living for a long time in Vacaville, and you went
Hmm.
to high school in Vacaville too, right?
I did.
So you went to high school in Vacaville. Did you play any sports? Were you on any teams?
I didn't play sports through the high school. I did cheer through the city. So I used to do competitive cheer. And that was a lot of fun.
So how old were you when you started doing competitive cheer?
Like 10 till I was like 14.
Oh wow, wow! So you
So
got
a
an
couple
early start.
years. Hmm.
So good 4 years. And did you guys do anything for like local football teams or anything? Cheer with them, or
We
was it
did.
just? Uh,
I used to cheer for a local football team, and because it was competitive, we used to have competitions. And the first year that I was a cheerleader, we made it all the way to nationals in Florida, and that was a lot
oh,
of
that's
fun.
fun. That is too cool. That is too cool.
It was a lot of fun. I got to go without my parents, so it was like a
I
parent-free
was gonna
trip.
ask. Yeah, I was like, were the parents? How involved were they in the cheer and the competition, and were they into it?
They would go to every competition except for my national because it was so expensive to get the whole family there. Um, they just paid for me to get there for the competition. But it was pretty cool to go without my parents. Went to Disney World for the first time without my parents. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's like one of the best things. One of the best things ever.
I'm a huge Disney fan, so that was so much fun to do.
And you went to Florida Disney?
I did. Orlando, Florida.
Never been. I can't say that I'm a huge Disney fan, but I've been there more than I'd like to admit.
It's not for everyone. I liked
It,
going as like a preteen and a teenager because I didn't have to deal with like whining kids or anything like that. But now as a mom, I'm like, I don't want to take kids to Disney because they just cry and scream the whole time. It
yeah,
makes
it's
it
tough
miserable.
because they're like, oh, you're supposed to be happy you're at Disneyland, and like everyone's exhausted and hot and
Yes,
probably
it's
ate too
always
much junk
super
food.
hot.
They got a stomach ache, and it's like, oh, I think I
Kids
had
want
fun.
everything.
Yeah, too many funnel cakes.
Too many churros. That's what I used to eat a lot of. Churros.
I almost bought a churro today for lunch. I
You
had
should
to.
have. Those are yummy.
They're very yummy, but I'm trying to cut down a little bit on my sweets.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
I'm trying to,
It's
but it's
hard.
hard. I have a sweet tooth.
Yeah, and I have a wife who's making fresh cake and cookies every other night. So it's not it's not so easy. It's not
Yeah,
very
that's got to be
easy.
hard.
Like, well, yeah, I got home today and just had like 2 chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, that sounds
So
yummy though.
it was very yummy. It was very that way was delicious. And then she made me a German chocolate cake for my birthday a few days ago. That
Your
was kind
birthday
of
just
cool.
passed.
My birthday
Happy
just
birthday.
passed. Thank you very much. I am officially, um, what do they call that? Over the hill.
Nice.
Whatever that means. Yeah. I don't know what makes it official, but I'm pretty sure I'm over the hill now. So
We're all
halfway,
getting up there.
halfway to 90. Let's say that. So we'll see how far that goes. When we first met, you were wearing a lucky stone.
I was gonna wear that tonight, but I had the jitters earlier from having a bunch of caffeine and I couldn't get my necklace on. But I still have that stone and it is still my lucky stone.
I wanted to put it on a stone too to get myself kind of vibing a little bit, and I was just late like always. Like, oh, I don't have that much time. I had enough time to eat my dinner and save myself for a little bit more dinner. So it's okay. I brought my stones though to play with me. So
My
uh,
stones are inside. I'm sitting outside because it's actually nice and cool outside.
oh, it's a little bit hot in here in my garage, and yeah, but it's not too bad right now. But outside, I'm sure it will be a lot nicer, and it's a little bit hotter where you're at compared to where I'm at.
I think it was like 106 today, something like that. So it was hot.
So now, just gonna try to get into more juicier and juicier stuff. Gonna
Go
try.
for it.
um, embarrassing moment. Do you have an embarrassing moment that you would be willing to share
Oh
with
my
us?
gosh. Yes. When I was in high school, it was like the last day of school, I think my sophomore year. And I dressed all cute. I wore like a dress and everything. I started my period at school. And I didn't know I
Oh,
started my period, and it got all over my dress. Nobody said anything to me until the end of the day, and there was just blood everywhere at the back of me. And someone came up to me and was like, "You're bleeding really bad." I was like, "Oh my God, this is so embarrassing." I think that is one of the most embarrassing things that I have ever had happen to me is starting my period at school with absolutely nothing.
oh my gosh. And so this happened at school. Obviously,
Hmm.
it's a messy situation.
Hmm.
And did anybody make fun of you,
I'm
or
sure they did, but nobody ever said anything to my face. So
very
who
good kids?
knows?
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. You
Yeah,
know, kids could be so brutal.
they
You
can
know,
be.
that has to be like or such a horrific thing, but also such probably a common embarrassment, right?
It's
And like
so common.
and do you think that like if you had a daughter and she was going through the same thing, would you want her to be embarrassed about that, or would you want to like tell? What would you tell her?
It
Like,
happens. It happens to everyone. You never know when you're going to start, so it just happens. There's nothing to be embarrassed about something that just naturally happens.
right? Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Like, yeah, not that we can just always explain away something that we feel embarrassed about, but yeah, it's like this is part of becoming a young lady,
Yes.
and it's unpredictable, and let's just
Go with the flow.
let's go with the flow, let's go with it and be okay, and not be, because sometimes embarrassment could really wear us down. Like there's something like that holds that memory in like such a odd way, and it almost like one embarrassment could turn into another embarrassment, right? And next thing you
Hmm.
know, I'm scared to go out of my house, and it's everything is you know being social is scary because now I'm worried I'm gonna do something's gonna happen to me,
Hmm.
something odd, or of course I am a guy, and I don't claim to understand you know how a young lady would feel about that, but I do know that that other kids would kind of not understand probably. A lot of the kids, at the school at that age, they don't really get it. They're probably not aware. There's maybe like a few, some girls are aware, and depending on the age group, right?
Hmm.
And then some of the guys, probably most of the guys are just no clue. At least the kids
Probably.
back in my day, we didn't know about that type of stuff.
I think it did help that it was like the last school, so nobody's going to recognize my face the next year. You have months off. Nobody's going to know who you are. So I think that kind of deteriorate any bullying or like and big embarrassment or anything like that.
I mean, did you like go through the summer going, I hope nobody mentions this when I get back in school?
I don't remember that. I don't remember
Okay,
thinking
good.
anything like that.
Yeah, and which grade were you in?
I think sophomore year. It was either sophomore or junior year. But I'm leaning more towards 10th grade.
Okay, yeah, so that's when there's so much with our social, like being social and being
Hmm.
accepted, and and cliques and all these things, and a little bit more vicious, and our humor changes a bit in those grades, where it's sometimes at the cost of other people. So
Hmm.
a little different. um would you have you had any experience that you would consider traumatic?
Off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything other than when I had my firstborn son. Um, I was on a lot of drugs at that time after he was born. Uh, he actually had no pulse when he was born. I had to have an emergency C-section, and I lost 90% of the blood inside of me. So I had to
Wow.
have several blood transfusions, and I think that is going to be one of the most like traumatic things in my life is just giving birth.
Yeah, that sounds like a excessively traumatic situation. So,
I just remember being in the hospital and them saying he has no pulse, you're having your baby now, and being hooked up to a wall, and they're pulling the bed away as I'm hooked up to the wall. And I remember being like, the wires are coming out of me. And they're like, we're sorry. And just whisking me away in a hurry.
oh, dang.
Yeah.
Dang. How old were
It
you
was
when you had
chaotic.
your first little guy?
31.
Okay.
So a little bit older.
Yeah, I'm always expecting, to say, "Oh, I was 13." I'm joking. Thinking everybody started as early as I did, even though I was not 13. I was not 13. And
You
so
started young.
I started pretty young, fresh out of high school. Fresh out of high school. So
I think a
were your
lot of people
parents with
start
you
young.
when that happened? Were you,
It was just my husband, so just Alex that was with me at the time in the hospital. And as soon as they said, you're having the baby now, I'm pretty sure he called all of my family and his family to be at the hospital. I just remember being a little bit more conscious and seeing Dexter in like this big old box with a bunch of wires and like a head thing strapped to him, and my dad being there. I remember seeing
oh
my
wow.
dad. I don't remember anybody else really. But like I said, they put me on a lot of drugs because I had a lot of blood transfusions.
And so it was kind of you were somewhat discombobulated.
Very discombobulated.
And so for the first day, 2 days, 3 days? Um,
I was in the hospital without Dexter for like 4 days. So I didn't truly meet Dexter until he was like 4 or 5 days old. And
wow,
then that's when we were in the same hospital together.
wow. So did it take a little bit? Like, do you think it took a little extra to bond after that?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Um, Everybody else in my family got to hold him before I did. And I think that kind of like changed the relationship that I would have normally had. Um, Even though they're infants and they're babies and they don't 100% know what's going on, just having that skin on skin time, I never got to have that. Everybody else
Mm-hmm.
did except for me.
And so once you got baby, after you said like 3 or 4 days,
Hmm.
after they stabilized you and him, right? Because they had to
Hmm.
probably had to monitor him for a while, make sure that his heart's
He
doing
he
good.
had to go to Oakland Children's Hospital, so we weren't even in the same hospital. I was in Vacaville and he was in Oakland.
Wow,
So we weren't even in the same city for like 4 days.
wow, wow. So what? So when you were kind of, I guess in uh, after critical care, right? So
Hmm.
you're in critical care for a while. You you were had enough blood. You were okay. And then did you have to go to Oakland? And um,
We met up in Vallejo, so we didn't meet each other until we were in Vallejo.
so at Vallejo Kaiser.
Yes,
Hey, back to there,
yes.
huh?
Back to my home roots. You put that
Where were
light
you?
on.
Where were you supposed to give birth to him? Where were you planning to give birth to him?
It would have been Kaiser Vacaville,
Okay.
which is where I originally had him, but he had to go. He had a special helicopter ride. So, like 6 hours
First ride
old,
in the
he got a
chopper.
yes. He had his own special box. He has his own like special helicopter. So
Wow.
he's been in the helicopter before me.
Wow. He has his a story, huh? Is he
Hmm.
aware of the drama yet?
A
Is he
little bit. I told him a little bit. When I first had him and the helicopter arrived, they had this like stuffed animal looking helicopter thing. And they were like, put this on your skin so he can kind of smell you a little bit. And I like rubbed it all over me. I was like, okay, here you go. So he still has that
oh
helicopter. Um, and when he pulls it out, I'm like, this is the helicopter you went in after you were born. You didn't get to see mommy. You got to see everybody else but mommy. So he still has that helicopter and he uses it and he like plays with it. And he's like, hey, mom, you remember when you were in the hospital? And I'm like, do you remember? And he says, yes. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't remember that. You were 6 hours old.
well, there's been some people that claim to remember being born. I don't remember the first several years of my life, but doesn't mean that someone else doesn't.
I mean, he could. He just could know in general because there is all sorts of supernatural things.
yeah, for sure. I kind of like dive deep into some very strange stories and things that people share, near death experiences and um, out of body experiences, and
Hmm.
listen to people who claim to be abducted by UFOs or have constant visits by aliens and all this stuff, and I don't necessarily just assume it's all true. but I do have like a respect for the possibility and the respect for like the story. Like even if
Mm-hmm.
someone was making up this story is still coming out of them and it means something to their psyche. Like I
Mm-hmm.
presume like it's something that, just needs to kind of be explored maybe and stuff. And yeah, I've heard people who, claim to been born and been frustrated because they can't talk, and stuff like that. And I've had friends that told me about like, certain memories that been, um, verified through time. Like, oh, I've seen this happening, and they go and there was a story. Oh, I seen like my sister running by me, and you know they were took to a track meet when they were young and stuff like that. So I think maybe I just not me. I have another little guy, another little kiddo in my life, a friend's child, where he's always talking about what he's done in the future. It's so interesting. It's really
That is
interesting.
really interesting.
Like, oh yeah, we did that when I was 6. I'm like, oh, his memory's going like in a whole different direction, and it seems like to him it's not like odd or anything. It doesn't seem like he's just having a novelty, like, you know, people, kids sometimes realize like, oh, this is like exciting to someone, or this is, you know, tripping somebody out, and so we might, just play with that and do that. Where I was like, I don't get the sense that he feels like we're being, whoa, oh my goodness. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, tell me more. And it's odd. So, yeah. Again,
Dexter talks a lot about the past. So he talks a lot about World War II as if he were to be like involved in World War II. So
that's
it's
interesting.
trippy.
What type of stuff like have you heard him say about it? Like,
It just all the like there's people in the bunkers and there's bodies piled up and just I'm like, how do you know all this? Like, why do you think about that? You're only 6. But
wow,
he talks about World War II as if he was like involved in it.
that's a trip.
It is really trippy when he starts talking about that and he starts playing military. I'm like, oh my God, are you like reincarnated? Because I could totally believe it.
You know what? It's to me, there came this point where like to me, that seemed like the most likely event.
Hmm.
And, I don't have a great explanation for why, but it was just like exploring different ideas and possibilities and just trying to like understand what we're doing here, you know, and what purpose we have, or what experience, what it means to experience life. Um, it just started to feel like this is not the first time, not even almost the first time. And again, I don't have any memories of any past lives myself. At all. I haven't had any experiences like that. Um, but I still
I
like got this feeling that's like this is not my first rodeo. This is not anybody's first rodeo.
I don't have too many like past life experiences that I can think of. I just as I go through things I'm like this is like deja vu. I feel like I've been here before
I
with the
get
same
that.
mindset.
Yeah, I get the deja vu thing so much, so much. And I go, did I do this in a dream? Did I just do this already? did I like ex- experience it in some quantum way? And I
Yeah.
don't have those answers, but just that feeling has meaning to it. Like no matter whether I understand it or not, it's important because it feels important.
Hmm.
Like it's communicating something that um, maybe my rational brain can't really understand because it's not a rational thing. It's beyond,
Yeah.
it's beyond the rational making sense out of everything the way we want to make sense out of things. Just we're here, we eat, we reproduce, we have some friends, maybe um, we work, just like this is what we do. We try to gain as much as we can within this short time period, and for and then
Hmm.
and then our mind, and then there's this strange sense of, oh, I've been here already. And when you feel like you've been here already, it somehow becomes like more meaningful. Like it has more substance in that moment,
Yeah.
which is freaking weird, which is so strange.
It is really strange. When I have those moments, I have to like take a step back and be like, has this happened before? Am I tripping? Am I on drugs right now? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, all those questions, because I think there's a little bit of shock again, kind of going back to like that rational mind where we want to be able to explain things. We want to
Hmm.
be able to put them in a category or a box and have them well organized. And that's something that you really can't. It doesn't seem to fit well in any box. It doesn't seem to. It doesn't seem to be there to really to be part of the rational understanding. Like there has to be a deeper communication, right, that takes place, and it seems to take place regardless whether we could understand it or not.
Yeah.
There's there's this we have this voice in our brain that talks nonstop for most of us, and it tells you you should be worried about this, you should be doing this right now. You're not doing enough. Maybe you're doing too much. It's always like critical, pushing you one way, pulling you the other way, and
Yeah.
and there has to be some balance to that, some one way or another, and you know, it could be like, I think if we don't find some like unique ways to kind of dance with that evolved part of ourselves that is not worried about um, the material world because it's not dependent on it.
Hmm.
Um, it will come splashing out of us. It will come rushing out, to me, it seems like when it comes rushing out, um, there's this like difficulty because again we're still that rational being, right? We still want to explain things and pretend like we understand the world and what's going on in it. We still have that actor that is very visible, makes itself very
Hmm.
visible because it's always explaining. We're always explaining why someone else did whatever, right? Like
Hmm.
we would never know why someone said this particular thing, and you know, we chose maybe to be offended by it or not. And we're going, oh, that's weird that this person said something like this. You know, even if they try to explain it to us, we still might not even have a clue because it's beyond. Sometimes it's just beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And when like this, so you know, me and you were talking about having the deja vu experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? Imagine that times 1,000. Imagine
That's
how,
intense.
yeah, right. So we're going deja vu. We're already asking if we might be having some you know a drug flashback. Is this uh, some sort of something still moving through my veins or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like we don't really have to, but we have this kind of sense of reestablishing um, our rationale, right? Type of thing. Because if not, like what are we? We're like some mist. I don't know. And so if taking that times 10, then then we're really talking about finding ourselves, really
Mm-hmm.
being lost and being needing to reestablish, the basic function, right, of explaining things, in a way where we feel satisfied with the explanation,
Yeah.
which is always interesting to me because what I find sometimes with myself is my explanation is not always as powerful as it could be. Like my explanation, maybe I'm feeling under the weather, just as a random example, and I could explain why I'm feeling under the weather. I could say, well, maybe I've been working too hard, or I'm stressed out, or many number of things,
Mm-hmm.
and 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 I could say these things that don't give me any power. They don't give me any strength. They don't build me up in a positive way. I could take that same thing very simple. I'm feeling sick, and I could say, well, there's this powerful love that's working through my body that is helping me to process negative energy, and it might be painful, but it's processing this negative energy out of me, which can make me more whole, which can make me more of what I want to be, what I've asked to be. and
Mm-hmm.
um, and right, they're both stories, but one story is um, like a medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe even if it's a placebo, which we know are very effective.
Yes.
Placebos are just as effective of the fake medicine that they give, the other fake medicines. Um, yeah, I don't know how I got to that, but I would, I had a remarkable experience, and I know I told you a little bit about it, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
feeling, you know, really out of sorts, and getting this flash of, like, it's not even nervous energy, but that's like I guess the best way to explain it to somebody, or
Mm-hmm.
like being whisked away, and I was visiting a friend, and it started kind of coming over me, and in a more, in even a different way than I've experienced before, and I started sweating profusely, like just started sweating, and I kind of wanted to, like, and I wanted to lay down like really bad, Like I just wanted to kind of lay down and, roll up in a ball and try to weather the storm. And like I started losing like my normal vision, and like I was in the forest, and I was, had two friends nearby, and like
Hmm.
anything like trees and the people, all I seen was like bright white light. I mean, I knew what was what kind of, but I seen
Hmm.
like the trees weren't green and brown, and the people in this case weren't brown, or just freaking white lights, and I kind of, you know, just leaned on um, one of the vehicles, and I didn't say anything, like, because I have this weird thing, like, if I say something, like, I give it more power. So, kind of strange. So, like, I'm going through this really weird shit, and I got friends around, but I'm not really saying anything because I don't want it to be more real than it already is. And and my friend
I
kind of
get that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You just kind of like holding on, right? You're kind of holding on to what you feel like you need to hold on to,
Yeah.
and it seems almost like a life or death situation. Whether it is or not, I don't know. I'm still here, so I'm not sure. But yeah, and I was explaining it to my friend. I'm going, well, I think it has something to do with this and that, and he gave me a very unique story, like what he thought it was, and
Okay.
yeah, and that story was it like was very settling. It was like very, it like just was relaxing and very acceptable, and and for me it was believable, and and it was much better than the story that I was telling myself, and
Okay.
so I adopted, right. I'm like, okay, that's a better story than I have. Let's let's take this better story and make it our own. Let's own this one, and let's find the beauty and the potential in these, you know, maybe unwanted scenarios, maybe wanted. Maybe I wanted all that. Maybe I just didn't understand, how to get from point A to B, but I wanted to get to point B, right? And I just
Hmm.
didn't understand that there was a difficulty. We go, oh, everything should be easy and gentle. But that's not what life is always only about. Sometimes it seems like the gentle after the storm is the most beautiful thing, right? Like you can
Hmm.
imagine yourself after going through hell in that hospital and being reunited with your son in your home and being
It was very
comfortable.
bittersweet.
Yeah, can you explain that? I'm
It
just
just,
curious, like
it
how.
didn't feel real at first. Like, I didn't feel like I had a kid yet. I think maybe having like so many days of being kid free after he was born, even though I was in the hospital, it just didn't feel real. And even now I think about it, I'm like, I'm a mom. This is so unreal. Who gave me permission to do this?
Yeah, so that is maybe my example wasn't good, but that's even, to me, it's even a more powerful experience because there was more hardship than I could even assume, and more challenge and more, uh, I don't know, it's almost like being disillusioned, right? This is not the way that motherhood is supposed to take place. This is not the
Yeah.
way motherhood is supposed to feel like, right? And like, and
Yeah.
you're, and you're like in this situation where, um, things don't seem like real in a way. Like they don't seem real. Like there's, you somehow were here and now you just got like plopped out over here, and
Hmm.
you're like, oh, now I need to be a mom all of a sudden, and I didn't get that like normal kind of transition into, like
Yeah.
you said, taking your baby comes out of your womb, you hold him, you give him milk, or
Hmm.
or you try, you try to, you start to, and you guys like continue the bond where it left off, right? Because you have this bond that is um, spiritual and also physiological, right? Because you're literally sharing um, nutrients and sharing a body. You're sharing your
Hmm.
body, and in this bond generally after giving birth, that bond doesn't go away for a while. You're still like one. You're still like, the baby. Supposedly, the baby doesn't even consider the mother a separate entity for quite
Yeah.
a long time. It's like that's just the other part. That's the bigger part of me.
I
Oh,
do find that super relatable though when you talk about things like that. I'm like, that's very true, and I resonate with things like that. So I vibe with it.
yeah, and then I don't know. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe at one point you kind of got into a groove um, where you felt, okay, this feels right. This feels good. I understand. Again, doesn't, not saying that it's forever, but you kind of made it past some of the most traumatic part of it, and
Hmm.
hopefully, you get to relax a bit, and then we get comfortable in some ways, and then the comfortable um, begins to be uncomfortable
Hmm.
because it's too redundant. It's too like, we need some sort of like contrast to make us like appreciate, to help us to appreciate, you know these very, I would say, like the most important things, right? Like when are my kids and my wife and my family in general, when are they most important to me? Is, when I'm, fear losing them, or losing myself to, from them. Like all of a sudden I'm going, oh man, I I know how important, you know these relationships are, but I realize that I could take them for granted, because you get comfortable and you feel like, oh, this is what I have all the time, and it's, right there, and it seems like it will never go away, right? Like
Hmm.
this is forever, forever. Then we kind of get these weird reminders that no, it's not really forever in this same scenery, in this
Yeah,
same version or whatever, the strangeness that comes.
it's all so strange.
It is. Sometimes I just like the strangeness is so alien sometimes. Like just how like I could dive really deep into that where it just becomes like alien. Like
Hmm.
like like nothing is what I think it is to that extent, which is probably the case because um, how could it be? My wife sent me a picture of the baby. He's looking like an old balding man right now.
Oh, that's adorable though.
Yeah, it is. Ooh, it's cute. I know his like the sides of his hair are kind of rubbed off. The back of the hair is like kind of
Oh,
from laying
yeah,
on all the time, and
yeah.
so he has like a little mohawk, and that's like barely a mohawk.
Because your baby's what, 3 or 4 months old now? Maybe a little older?
He is 3 months and 1 week.
3 months, 1 week.
3 months, 1 week. Um, Pretty sure he's teething.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he had he got like a little bit of a cold, and I think like
Oh,
between like the cold and the teething, he was like miserable. Poor
I
little
can
guy.
imagine.
Yeah, and so it was it was pretty intense here because he wanted to be on the tit um, all at all day, pretty much,
Oh,
right? Because it was like soothing for like him. He just wanted to be with
yeah.
mama and like man, and he would. And I always feel for kids sometimes when they're not feeling good and they're hurting or sad or whatever, and and
Hmm.
they and they just want to give their parents a smile. They just try so hard. You can see that their face is miserable, and they just want to look at you and like give you a smile because they know that you need it.
Yeah.
They're like, "Here you go. You need this more than me, Dad." Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, it's crazy. I want to play this little sample that I have. Actually,
okay.
I just have it in here, and it's I almost accidentally played it, and I go, you know what? That's really cool. I think you'll like it. It's from
Okay.
a gentleman named Ramdas, and he is reading a poem by another person named Thich Nhat Hanh. I don't think I said that right, but like a Vietnamese monk and author, and it's just kind of pretty. So let me share it with you.
This
Okay.
first one is by a Buddhist monk named Thich Nhat Hanh. Very beautiful monk. I won't read the whole thing. I am a frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond. I am also the grass snake who, approaching in silence, feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks. I am also the merchant of arms, selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. I am also the pirate my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom in all walks of life. My pain is like a river of tears, so full it fills up all the four oceans. Please call me by my correct names, so that I can hear at the same time all my cries and my laughs, so that I could see that my joy and pain are but one. Please call me by my correct names, so that I could become awake, so the door of my heart be left open, the door of compassion. All my names. The quality of love has no boundaries. There's no other in love. There is us at one level, and at the deeper level there is only I. We are merged in love.
And that's that clip. Just think it's such a pretty idea to share.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of, I don't know, it just seems to me like it's like we have this tendency to sometimes see, you know, the negative in sometimes in other people. Sometimes some people are programmed differently, where they see the best in people. I think most of us are not like that. I don't think that's the norm.
Yeah.
And you know, just seeing that.
I'm going to bed.
Oh,
Dexter
I hear
just came out here and said he's going to bed.
he's going to bed. He's ready,
Yeah,
huh? He must be
he's
pooped out.
ready. He's had a
He-
long day. He had a birthday party this morning, and then we were at the brewery in the sun.
Oh,
So
how
he's had a long day.
he did good. He made it. It's
He did
almost
really
10
good.
o'clock.
I
Oh, I
know.
miss that little guy.
He keeps asking to come in and see Kai.
Well, you bring him in, please, and
I
have him
will.
say hello. Yeah, I want to see him before he grows up too fast.
I know. He's growing so fast. He now gets himself dressed all on his own. Like he picks out his own clothes, his shoes, everything. And he's like super picky about it. And I'm like,
Oh,
what the heck? I used to dress you.
right.
Love
You
you.
get
Can you say goodnight to my pet?
Yeah, bring your rock here.
you got to say goodnight to Rocky.
His rock is Rocky.
Are you serious?
Good night, Rocky.
Yeah.
You want to say hi really quick?
Yeah.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hey, Dexter,
Come
what's
here.
up, dude?
Hi.
How are you doing, buddy?
He's asking, how are you doing?
Good.
You doing good? I miss you. Long
He says,
time
I
no
miss
see.
you.
I know you can't hear me, but
Okay. I love you.
And I have a pet rock.
and your pet rock's named Rocky.
Your pet rock is named Rocky? It is. Oh, there goes my other earbud.
I have some of my pet rocks
Will
too.
you look for it, babe? Yeah. I think the microphone is attached to it. One second. I lost an earbud.
No worries. Take
I
your
need a
time.
flashlight.
You're gonna have to use the phone.
I might have to use the phone.
It could multifunction if like you turn it off. I think you won't lose. You could just open it up and you'd be right back in. I'm pretty sure.
So my earbud fell out and my volume on my phone is not working if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Can you say anything more, Dad?
Oh,
Happy Saturday evening to everybody out there. Hope that you are doing good and having fun. I'm very excited
you have another one? I don't.
to just
You can
conversate.
use my headphones?
It's
Yeah.
something that I enjoy doing.
Here you go.
Just 1 second.
No worries. And just enjoying the human experience and learning about how other people deal with being human and
Yeah, thank you.
woohoo and the ups and downs and the fun parts. Nice. You good? No, I don't think you. I don't. Oh, I hear something that sounded like microphone.
Are you still there?
I am still here.
Oh no.
No, you. Am I losing you? It's all good. We can we can say we can say sayonara. I could. I'm talking. I don't know if you got me. I'm still here.
Okay, can you hear me?
I could hear you. I could hear you.
I cannot hear anything.
Yeah, you might. Your other bud might. You know what? Maybe I'll text you.
I'm having technical difficulties.
I'm gonna text you. So I think still having technical difficulties, I believe. Oh, wait, you knew what you're doing. You. Oh, you got it.
I don't know what happened. I have no sound.
Don't worry about the sound. No one's listening. Just joking. But Heather, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. I really had fun. Talk to you later. So, that's how we do it. I love chatting with people who have not been on podcasts before and something new to them. And I'm very appreciative that that friend would accept my invitation and kind of be willing and open to discuss their life and just discuss life in general and being what we are, here and in the now. And I'm very, 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 very grateful for that. And thank you, friends, for stopping in to tonight's stream and, checking it out for all it's worth. And happy freaking Saturday. You know, if you work the weekends like I do, you know, it's all good. It's still Saturday. We can still celebrate um, the weekend for our, you know, friends and family who has the weekend off. And that's cool. And, you know, it's still a meaningful, exciting evening. And again, I'm humbled that you're here, that you know, that you're here to just be with me and be a friend, an unseen friend. Um, and that just there's a lot of love there. So, muchos gracias. I, you know, look forward to just connecting with people in general and, you know, being aware of the butterflies, the metamorphosis, the deep, deep changes, to be aware of the cognizant and caring and intelligent and loving person within, and also being aware of the monster, the reptile, so to speak, the savage, the in the darkness, and just understanding what it is that we are, what it is that I am beyond the portal of the imagination, or beyond the mirror of reflection that I may prefer. I hope you have a wonderful evening, day, morning, whatever it is now, wherever you're at. And I hope that you can be here and be in the now and experience the grace of the Ankh as much as possible. Amen. Aho. Namaste. Mahalo, friends. Love you. Thank you.